Greetings, sirs and madams. I'm seraphiczero, and today we're bringing you a podcast discussing the Gundam Battle Operation 2 beta. So with me, I have my fellow panelists, Rob from Flailthroughs, and our friend SaltyWalty. So, yeah, I guess we're going to go ahead and have the panelists introduce themselves. So let's start with Rob. Rob, can you tell us about the history of your YouTube channel and how did you get into Gundam Battle Operation?
Okay, well, the YouTube channel is, it started out as an extension of the Blogspot site, which is kind of neglected at this point. It's still there, but I rarely ever update it. But Gundam Battle Operation was kind of like the thing that I think it's kind of come to define my YouTube channel to a large extent, because it's the first thing I found to play that really fit in with what I was trying to do. Just a game to blunder my way through in Japanese, which is, kind of worked out for me. It's a good match because I know a fair amount about Gundam, but not as much about Japanese, so I can at least, get through it on one way or another. I was actually on Battle Operation. I did not get into the original beta, but I was on the game since the very first day. And, I think that's when I started recording it too. So, yeah, I was there on and off for the whole 5 years, and through that is how I met you and Salty and just about, everybody else I know who plays the game at this point.
All right. Salty, so we know your YouTube channel is pretty new, but how did you get into Gundam Battle Operation?
I think it was about a week after I got the Mobile Suit Gundam Senki 0081, and I was searching up Gundam videos on YouTube, and I found Rob's channel. I'm like, well, what's this game? And I'm looking at it, and he's describing that as a Japanese free-to-play Gundam game, and I started playing it, and I downloaded it that day as soon as I found it. I'm like, oh, this looks pretty cool, so I downloaded it, played it, and loved it. And then about, give or take 2.5 years, that's when I finally joined y'all's group and had some fun.
Okay.
That's about it, really, with GBO.
Right. Ah, crap, I think I did our background video incorrectly, but we'll fix that later on. So, so I'm seraphiczero. My YouTube channel is kind of weird because I didn't originally intend it to be a channel for producing content. It was really just my personal channel. And, you kind of need a YouTube account if you want to look at restricted videos and all that type of stuff. So that's why I have that channel. That's actually why my channel is so old, because I made it like a really long time ago. And I guess eventually I just felt like there's a lot of neat things I do in video games that I could share with everybody, so I started investing in capture equipment and stuff like that. So originally it was an Armored Core video, or Armored Core channel, so I have a lot of like Armored Core stuff, and I'm actually I think slightly renowned, at least back in the day, for some of my Armored Core content. So regarding Gundam Battle Operation, you could say I've been a Gundam fan for a very long time, but I've always felt that the video games were sort of lacking in lots of ways. But kind of like they were very arcadey, or they were all just fighting games, like 2D fighting games, but it just didn't really feel the way like Gundam should feel. So when I first saw the trailer for Gundam Battle Operation, I was like, oh my god, this is it. The mobile suits look exactly the way they should, they move the way they should, and the gameplay just looks great. And so that's how I got into Gundam Battle Operation. And then, looking for channels, I found Rob, and he had very good content. He was one of the few YouTubers that was actually doing like commentary with his videos too, so that was something that was very good about the product he was producing. And then we made like a lot of friends because the game is in Japanese. Almost all the players are Japanese players, so there was a community of English-speaking players, and that's how we all know each other. Okay, so just a quick description of Gundam Battle Operation. The first game was on the PlayStation 3. It's a free-to-play game, meaning you can install it and play it for free, although there are paid items like higher-level mobile suits and items and weapons and stuff like that. That's how the company makes its money. And the first game went on for 5 years, and the game is a player versus player game strictly, and it covers pretty much all the material through 0079, and then through Rob. How late did it cover? Like probably like early Zeta, something like that?
0080. We talked about 1 or 2 here.
Battle Operation
1 or 2. Battle Operation 1 covered through 0083, but went no further.
Okay, yeah, so
because the GPO 1 and 2 are and Jim Custom are the latest things in the timeline wise in the original game.
Okay. Yeah, so the first game went on for 5 years, covering like all the mobile suits through those eras, and also lots of MSV and MSX. Like, were there any MSX mobile suits? Maybe a bit.
I want to say, yeah. The Peasant Doge is one of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the roster in the first game is absolutely gigantic. All kinds of variants and special, like, Ace Customs and all that type of stuff. There's a lot of mobile suits, and they're all balanced, and they all feel different, and it's just fantastic the way they handled it. So Gundam Battle Operation 2, as an extension, is basically the exact same game and model, just that Battle Operation 2 will be on the PS4, and this weekend we had the privilege of playing the beta. I think we all participated in the Japanese beta. There were also Chinese and, was it Singapore or Taiwan? Taiwan. Yeah. So the game, the new game will be releasing for those 3 countries. There are a lot of people who want it to be translated into English, but the first game never had that happen. I sort of doubt this game will either, but I guess we're all holding out hope.
Yeah,
okay.
The one thing that kind of had us getting our hopes up is the fact that the first trailer for it was entirely in English, so
right.
That has a lot of people hopeful, but so far nothing.
Yeah, that could be some clues that at least the development team is working with at least people who know English, but it could also be that English is sort of like the cool language to use if you're Japanese, kind of like I don't know, like speaking Spanish or French, like when you're an American, might be cool or interesting. Okay, so let's talk about our first impressions of the beta. Like, let's see, like what did everybody think? Salty, did you get to play both days on the beta?
Yes.
Yeah, what did you think of it?
I definitely loved how heavier the suits felt compared to GBO 1. They actually felt like 60-ton suits romping around and stuff. The punching mechanic is a nice addition to the melee suits, especially the unarmed ones. Increases your survivability immensely. The only kicker I had, really, that was a problem, was I think weapons could all have a range increase with how big the maps are. I think space battles, a 75% increase to range would be good, and ground, probably about 25 to 30% range increase would be good. Otherwise, everything else was fantastic. I suffered no lag or anything, no teleportation, nothing.
Yeah, so the very first game, it suffered very bad lag issues. Like, you could go matches that looked like poorly animated episodes of Dragon Ball Z where everybody was teleporting everywhere at like 10 frames a second and that type of stuff. And it was very nauseating and frustrating, but very surprisingly, there was almost no lag during this beta. I think if you watch one of my videos, there was a moment where I was killed by a kind of a laggy like saber swing, but that was the only time I experienced lag across the 2 days, so that was very surprising. So Rob, real quick, did you have any first impressions of the beta? Just your thoughts on that?
I was really happy with how similar it felt to the original Gundam Battle Operation. I was not necessarily expecting it to feel as much like just a straight-up continuation of the original game. And I'm really happy about that. I agree with Salty that the weapons range increase could be useful, especially in space. The other thing, the space battles are pretty good so far, but the other change I would like to see is I would like to see a little bit more vertical play in your aiming ability, especially when scoped in, where it's even more limited than just looking around normally. Because that is really restrictive in space, and I was in a couple of situations where people were just too far above or below me for me to actually get a shot on them. Other than that, I think in terms of gameplay, it feels really good. I agree with the lack of lag. It's just really impressive because there got to be a point where in the original Battle Operation where I just kind of gave up on playing melee-type mobile suits after a while because I just knew I was going to get grabbed out of midair and tackled because the lag was not favorable for me. I was able to use a Jim Striker fairly well here and again, so that it is definitely better on that front. So hopefully, once the full game comes out and they've got a full server load, that remains the case.
Rob, are you still there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, it kind of sounded like you just cut off mid-sentence or something, but I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, it sounds like somebody might be shuffling some papers around or something, and it is coming through your mic, so if we could limit any movement, I think that would help the listeners kind of focus on what we're talking about. Okay, so my first impressions of the beta is that it is pretty much a straight up continuation of Gundam Battle Operation 1. It's basically the exact same game, but streamlined, which is fantastic. So I think the main thing I appreciated about Gundam Battle Operation 1 is the mobile suits felt weighty. They moved the way they should, and they felt like giant robots, 60 feet tall or bigger, that type of stuff. But for some reason in the beta, everything felt kind of floaty and plastic. And I think that might have been because there were some audio issues plaguing the beta. Like, there were some sound effects that were not coming out when they should. Like, when it comes to, like, mobile suit movement or weapon sound effects and stuff like that. And so, sound design is actually very important when it comes to, like, showing weight and the strength of impacts and stuff like that. So, because of the audio issues and the desync of the audio, everything just kind of felt floaty. But I'm sure something like that should be fixed when the main game comes out. So that was a problem I did notice. Let's see, the graphics, I would say the game looks exactly the same pretty much as the old game, but I do like how the frame rate seems to be a lot better. Everything's just really smooth. And then, in terms of mobile suit roster and things like that, I feel that they just streamlined everything. Like, the first game took 5 years for the meta to come out the way it was, and for mobile suits to have that type of balance and that type of stuff. But in this game, you could use the Gem Striker like right away, and it already has 2 melee weapons, which was a crazy revolutionary thing that only happened in the last few months of the first game. So I feel like we got to keep all the amazing progress we made in the first game, and everything's just gonna get better on from here on. So that was really nice to see. So yeah, that was my first impressions of the beta. So I guess from here we can go into more specific topics that any of the panelists wanted to discuss. Did anybody have anything urgent you wanted to talk about?
I think the one thing that is worth mentioning to people who have followed Gundam Battle Operation 1 is that unlike Battle Operation 1, which had an energy system which limited the number of times you could play in a given period, Battle Operation 2 has removed that. The way it looks like it's going to take your money rather than buying energy is to buy tokens for its new loot box system, which is kind of an interesting system. You can get mobile suits and items that otherwise you are not qualified to buy yet on the game's rank system, but it is completely random. So, for example, I got in my very first drop, I got the Gelgug Commander type, whereas Salty got, I believe, a 200 hit point increase for his mobile suit.
That's all I got throughout the beta. I didn't get no. The only mobile suit drop I got was the level 3 Dom. Otherwise, I got nothing but parts.
Yeah, I got a fair number of decent mobile suits. I got that Gelgug. I also got a level 3 Dom, and I got the level 3 Gym Sniper 2. But yeah, I don't know how to feel yet about the loot box system. I kind of like the early access to things, but since it is just completely random, that has potential to make, gameplay kind of weird and unbalanced even at the low ranks. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how that works. I have a feeling that once we have access to them and the ability to change them for ourselves, there are going to be an awful lot of cost limit rounds running in this game.
Yeah, that was definitely something that was missing in the beta. Like, all the matches were just gathered together automatically. You couldn't custom make any lobbies or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure when the full game comes out, we'll have a lot more control over how that works.
Yeah.
Salty, what do you think about the new DP system and the loot box?
Well, I was never a fan of loot boxes, and as you can see why, my luck is horrible. And the DP thing is, I don't know. I don't really know how to think about it, but given some time, I've. All right, I wasn't expecting the question.
Okay.
I don't know. It just depends on how they deal with certain things. Like if they don't add cost rooms, this I'm not going to like the loot box, because you're going to have players that have extremely good luck right off the bat getting all the best suits, and then if there's no cost rooms, it's gonna be really bad for everybody else.
Something that is worth mentioning is that the development point system is still an improvement over the original game, where you were completely subject to random drops with everything you got. And it seems like in this, once you hit the appropriate rank, you should have access to every possible mobile suit that you can get at that rank. So it's. I don't know how the loot boxes are going to complicate things, but just on the basic setup, I'd say that the DP system is probably an improvement over the original.
Yeah, I really agree with that, Rob. In the first game, basically all your mobile suits, your weapons, and your custom parts were developed out of a blueprint system, which was basically randomized progress. And it didn't even complete in one drop. Usually, you would just get 20% of your gym striker or something. Mm-hmm. And then, maybe if you play enough matches, you'll get enough random drops to complete your gym striker. And then you could use your in-game currency to purchase that mobile suit. Yeah, so I agree. The way the new store works is a lot better because the mobile suit, the equipment, and the parts you get aren't randomized, and hopefully it stays this way. So you can basically pick exactly what mobile suit you want, and you purchase it complete. Like there's no system where you need to incrementally complete or develop that mobile suit, which really, really streamlines things and takes out the stress of, like, you know, like I tend to lean towards using Federation type mobile suits, and it was just very frustrating getting all these like Zaku variants and stuff like that, which like I'm never gonna use in the first game, but now I can control, at least in the store, exactly what I get. It's a different story for the loot box because on the second day, pretty much that was happening. I was just getting DOMs and Zaku bazookas and stuff like that, stuff I'll never use. But at least the store itself, you have complete control over what's happening. As for the loot box, I don't really have many negative feelings towards it because I understand the developers need to make some money somehow. And then, like, I'm not really seeing too much of an issue yet for the difference in mobile suit levels because, at least for me personally, I think, I was able to play matches against, like, using level 1 suits against, like, level 3 mobile suits on the other side, and the power differential wasn't even all that high. So I was able to play the game fine without much of a bad impression of the power difference. So I think it'll be okay, at least for the beginning of the game. Of course, things will get more stratified over time as people develop very powerful mobile suits or equipment or loadouts. And then from there, you're going to need to start looking at balance issues and stuff like that. But hopefully the rank restriction will have at least some effect on the loot box, or else, you know, you're going to have like a completely new player on his first day drop like a level 6 Phasalis or something, and he's just dropping nukes on the map, and that's going to get ugly. I know things definitely got ugly sometimes in the practice modes for new players because some people just had they just ran out in like GPO 1s and stuff, and just everybody was really unhappy with that. But yeah, I think the new system is a lot better. It's more stress-free, and I'm glad it works a lot better. So, Salty, what were your impressions of the roster in the beta? Like, how were those mobile suits? Did everything feel like it worked the way it should? Was there anything that felt like really wrong, like with the mobile suits that were present?
The Dom is much better in this one than it is in the old one. You don't get hockey pucked across the map anymore or getting pushed around. You actually stay in your spot, which is lovely. Certain suits felt a lot slower than they should have been. Goku felt really, really slow down, even though he doesn't get hockey pucked. He felt slower than he should be. Let's see. G3, now I never got to use it yet, because I wasn't lucky to get the drop. But I feel I think he was perfect the way he was, because the way I watched my teammates use him or the enemy use him, I think the G3 is perfectly balanced the way it is. But just, honestly, every other suit felt just fine.
Okay. Rob, did you have any thoughts on the roster?
What I played felt pretty good. Just trying to think if there's anything that really stands out to me as being particularly wrong. I think the Goku could have moved a little faster. That would have been nice. But I never got close enough to things to notice that you don't get pushed around with the Dom anymore, because I was used to getting pushed around to the Dom, so I tried to keep my distance. I'm just trying to think, and it's not working. But no, I think generally the mobile suits felt pretty good. would like to see maybe a slight increase in movement speed for space, because the slower mobile suits in space feel very, very sluggish, and that could use just a little bit of an increase, because that is a big map.
Yeah, that's definitely something I noticed as well. So in the beta, it feels like, let's say these are mid-tier to low-tier mobile suits. It felt that the speed has been reduced a little bit, at least from where Gundam Battle Operation 1 left off. And I think that might be because this new game is probably going to cover a lot more material and go further into the timeline than the first game. Like, I think we have, like, Zeta era and maybe double Zeta era mobile suits now, don't we?
The Gym 3 is double Zeta, so yeah.
Okay, so if that's happening, then the speed differential is going to be much greater in this game. So I think they're trying to establish that differential by kind of slowing down things in the beginning. So things are definitely churning around a lot more slowly now. And then also, so I think that's going to allow for, as new mobile suits from more technologically advanced eras are being released, that will allow them to behave like they're moving a lot faster than what we have currently. So I think that's the reason for that. Yeah, so from what I saw, I think they're doing lots of good things with a lot of the mobile suits in the roster. Like, for instance, lots of mobile suits have sub-weapons that they only had in, like, special variants and stuff like that. Like, for instance, the Zaku 1 Sniper, it had a Sturmfaust, which was limited to the commander type in the previous game. So it just has that now, like, as default. Like, the Ground Gundam has 2 Saber Swings, whereas before it just had 1. And then also, like, Zaku's and Gelgugs have sub-weapons, like, things like machine guns and grenades and stuff, which is very helpful, because in the first game, there were a lot of mobile suits that only had 2 weapons. Like, a bunch of different Gelgugs only had a beam rifle and their beam naginata, and that just wasn't really sufficient, because that really limits the combo potential for the mobile suit, and the mobile suit doesn't really have any anti-infantry options, like, with that type of loadout. So I'm glad to see that the devs decided to give more utility to every mobile suit. It's very rare you're going to find something that feels like it's complete trash and you never want to use. On that note, I will say that there's a recording I didn't keep. That's because I wanted to test the beam spray gun on the Jim Kai. And that's because, Rob, the other week, or maybe it was like a month ago or something, you posted some gameplay footage from Missing Link, and you're using a mobile suit with a beam spray gun in there. And in that game, this beam spray guns were fucking badass. You know, they had this crazy rate of fire, and they damaged the shit out of stuff, which is that's really fun, you know? But in Gundam Battle Operation, the beam spray guns, they do piddly damage, and they have a horrible rate of fire. So, since this is the new game, I think, didn't Missing Link have the same development team as Gundam Battle Operation? I know they at least use the same mobile suit models.
Yeah, I don't know if they were developed by the same team or not, but yeah, the difference between the beam spray guns is night and day.
Yeah, so, yeah, the beam spray gun is still terrible in Gundam Battle Operation 2, but I think that might have been, like, the only, like, terrible, useless weapon I ever encountered, like, during the beta. I think they could probably fix it if they do what they've done with machine guns, which is that, of course, in the original Gundam Battle Operation, machine guns could not stun at all. Only bazookas and fully charged beam rifles generally could. But enough sustained fire with a machine gun will now stun someone. If they were to do that to the beam spray gun as well, I think it would make a big improvement. Yeah, it's possible they actually did implement something like that, but I may have just played so horribly I never got that kind of effect. So yeah, we'll just leave that out to see if anything changed with the beam spray guns at all. There was a Oh, go ahead, Salty.
Well, I did a match with the Jim Kai, and I didn't use the beam spray gun, but I did use the double barrel beam spray gun.
Okay.
And I kid you not, I was only using the level 1 Jim Kai because this is before I knew how to level up the suits and all that by buying the higher level. I got top score of my team because the beautiful burst damage that machine the gun would do, the do type fire effect it would have. And I'm hoping this is one of those guns that multiple suits can use, like the standard Jim, because I don't see why not. Even the Jim Command, I think, would be a good suit with a double barrel beam spray gun. Hands.
Okay.
Speaking of, did anyone try the Jim Command's beam gun? Because I never got a chance to give that a shot.
No, I was staring at it really hard, and I was gonna put it on my Jim Sniper too, because that mobile suit can use a shitload of different weapons.
Really?
In the first game, I've actually seen. I don't remember his PSN tag, but there's this one guy, and he would always run out in like a level 8 Jim Sniper 2, and he would just have that beam gun equipped. He wasn't using a sniper rifle of any kind. And he would just run around the whole match, and everybody would ignore him because it looked like he was unthreatening, but he would come out top place every single time because everybody was ignoring him. It was a very unorthodox strategy, but he was really on top of what he was doing, so that was impressive. So hopefully that weapon is just as good in this game as well. Okay, let's see. So here's a big thing that changed, like in the new game. So a big thing that people were asking for in the first battle operation was that they wanted space maps to be included, and that is now one of the main features of the new game. So what were your guys' thoughts on the new space map?
I liked it. I think it's larger than I think the controls and the range of the weapons and all of that are actually set up for at the moment. I feel like the game was generally tuned for ground battles, which makes sense since it follows on from a game that did ground battles for 5 years. But I like it. I like the fact that there are now they have the ball to take the place of the various, ground vehicles you could get a hold of in the game. And they actually have a vehicle that your mobile suit can get into, the Scure mobile assault platform. I only got to use it once and never got a shot off, but I'm kind of glad it's there.
Yeah, I never used a Scure, but I tried to shoot one down once. I was in the Gym 3, and I was trying to use the large missiles on it, but it turns out the large missiles on that mobile suit are so slow, they can't even hit a Scure. And so, that was a very negative experience. But yeah, I took a huge beam blast to the face, and yeah, that was the end of that. Salty, what are your impressions of space combat in the beta?
I have to agree with Rob's earlier statement about suits moving quicker in space.
Yeah. Salty, you sound like you're kind of far away from your mic. Do you think maybe you could bring it a bit closer to while you're speaking?
Does this sound better?
It's a little better.
I'm off. That sucks because I have to do this through phone. Like I said, I have to agree with Rob's earlier statement about mobile suits having to be quicker in space because it's they're too slow. I did.
Oh, hello? Hello? Guys, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Salty got real quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah, he might have been fiddling with his mic or something.
Yeah.
No, I'm here.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Like your sound just cut out for a moment.
Oh, that's lame. But I was able to use the Cherokee platform, and I tell you right now that gun does a lot more damage you would think it does. I was tagging people for 3,000 damage.
Oh yeah, that's devastating.
But I was using the gun cannon, and the enemy team was nothing but balance type. So I don't know if your suit plays a role in how strong that beam cannon will be.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah, that's definitely something that needs to be tested.
Yeah, when it comes out, my brain can't function right now. I do believe that the balls there should be more balls in the map. Only one at each point, I don't think that's enough. I think each point should have at least 2 balls there. I mean, I found so many times that my suit would get destroyed, and I was so far out away from a point, it was, I was spent a good 2 minutes flying to a point. So I think if adding balls randomly throughout the map would be a huge help for miscellaneous pilots up in space.
Yeah, that was actually something that I was actively avoiding doing because I didn't even want to bother with the pilot controls during the beta. I didn't want to risk it, because we only had a limited amount of time to play the game. So I actually avoided ejecting as much as I could. I just took the death so that I could respawn properly. Okay, well, so I guess when I tried out Space Battles, it looks like they pretty much just copy-pasted the camera controls from Ground Battle over to Space, which I'm actually... so one result of that is that all the mobile suits are in the same orientation. Like, they're all upright in the same direction, which is actually something I really appreciate. It really simplifies space controls, which is good. Like, you want to keep things simple so that people can focus on having fun instead of focusing on the complexity, But a problem that also arrived on top of that is that there is a limited camera angle when you're in space. Like, you can't aim up or down past a certain range. And so that is just wrong. That there should be limitations like that when you're aiming in space. So it actually made space combat a lot more challenging than it should have been. And I think that's definitely something that needs to be fixed. Otherwise, I might actually just avoid space combat altogether, which is actually something that I did when I was playing, like, what was that game called? Gundam versus Zeta Gundam? Like, I would only play on maps with gravity, or if they're space maps on like with gravity. Nothing free floating in that game, because that was actually just pretty horrific.
Yeah, the space controls in that one were always kind of difficult.
Yeah, the only other Gundam game I'd say that had good space controls was Encounters in Space on the PS2. It has a very similar control scheme to Gundam Battle Operation, where you use the shoulder buttons on the same side to control your Z-axis, like up and down. But on top of moving up and down, it also rotated you in the up and down, which actually made the game very disorienting in some ways. But GBO doesn't really have that issue because everybody's locked on the same axis. Something else to note about Space Battle is that in a lot of Gundam games, I find that space is too dim, and it just the lighting is bad. You can't see anything that's happening because everything is all dark, and then I guess the quote-unquote skybox just looks really plain and uninteresting. But in the beta, you didn't really have that problem in the space map at all. Like, the lighting was really good, everything was bright, you could pretty much see all the details on your mobile suit. And they actually kind of structured the map really nicely, because there's lots of, like, debris, and you could see distant objects, like, I think that you could see the Earth and the Moon and the Sun, and the stars were laid out in a very believable way. And so I just appreciated all the good lighting in there, because, well, typically when I'm, uploading videos to my YouTube channel, I have to take, like, thumbnails, like, screenshots for thumbnails and stuff like that. But if I'm on a dark map, like, your thumbnail's gonna be shit, like, no matter what. And I remember there was one map in the first Gundam Battle Operation it was the Jabral map. You were just underground in those caverns. And there were, like, entire stretches. There were stretches for months in the first game where you would just spawn in that map no matter what. And so it was just really hard to get views whenever we played matches on that map. So I'm really glad they paid more attention to the lighting and stuff. So like that's something I liked a lot about Space Battle. Regarding range and speed, personally, I didn't find much issue with it. Although I actually did not play very many battles in space. When I was in space, I was just using support mobile suits, and they already have super long range and stuff. Speed wasn't an issue because I just, just pick a position to snipe from, and you're pretty okay. But obviously, space battles are going to be supporting, or it's going to be favoring sniper class mobile suits because. Okay, Rob, Salty, did any of you have anything, any other topics you want to bring up for discussion?
Not that I can, think of. I think we hit pretty much every nail on the head, honestly.
Yeah, I think we covered everything we saw in the beta pretty well. Yeah, I think we've done pretty well describing everything we saw.
Okay. Yeah, so
Tell them to hold on.
Let me ask you guys, are there any improvements that you saw over the first game, or actually, are there any changes that you found were actually negative compared to the first game?
Why are you so stubborn?
Let me think about that a second.
Yeah, so, let's see. So if I'm gonna discuss what I found, I think the greatest change that I enjoyed the most was actually the new weapon switch style for the controls. So in Gundam Battle Operation, you can only use one weapon at a time, and it makes the game feel very, like you have to be very, like purposeful when you're choosing what weapon you're using. And it actually makes, it actually requires a lot of skill to combo with your mobile suit. So, in the previous game, you would press a button to cycle through your weapons, and that could be challenging because some mobile suits could have 5 or 6 weapons, so picking the right weapon could be very challenging. In the first game, you could hold, the weapon switch button, and use triangle or X to go up or down in the weapon cycle. And it worked okay, but it was very clumsy to use, very difficult, and not many players used that technique. But in Gundam Battle Operation 2, they changed that where you could still press the weapon switch button to cycle through your weapons, but they also added a thing where you can press weapon cycle plus a face button to just automatically switch to a weapon you assign to that face button. And so this system works much, much better. You don't have to cycle, you can go directly to the weapon you need, and it makes comboing extremely easy, and it just felt fantastic compared to the old system. So I actually really appreciated that update.
So, Rob, you go first.
Oh, thank you. I finally thought of 2 things that they changed, one that I like and one that I don't. One is that you now see damage numbers when your attacks land, and I like that a lot. It also actually proves that, yes, the tiny little machine gun on the Wappa does do damage to mobile suits, about 12 per shot, but it does it.
Oh, really? That makes me really happy for some reason. Although, I guess that was technically true in the first game, because that was how, you remember when the event for the GPO2 first came out? and our friend Epion was one of the first people to get that Gundam. Like, we actually had a match where he was in his GPO2, and I shot him down with a Wappa.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I forgot that.
He has never forgiven me for that. He'll still comment. He'll still comment on my videos randomly and say, "Hey, Zero, I remember that time you fucked me up with a Wappa." Yeah, sorry, Epion. Like, I can't do anything. Like, the past is the past, and I guess it's gonna be permanently recorded on YouTube, so you just gotta deal with it. But yeah, so damage number is actually very, very helpful. It actually it helped me with my machine gun build for the ground Gundam, because at other times I used machine guns, it felt like the damage ticks were too low. But once like I was able to put on like damage correction and stuff like that, I was doing like 125 per tick, and over time that adds up. So yeah, that was actually very helpful.
Yeah, the other change.
Go on, Rob.
Oh, thanks. The negative changes they made that I'm not really thrilled with are that after you dodge roll in the original game, it was just a straight timer to get your boost gauge recovered. In this one, it actually has to fill back up, and if you are stunned or knocked down, that fill stops happening for a second.
Really?
So
I didn't know that.
That leaves you a lot more vulnerable after dodge rolling than it used to. Similarly, once your legs are destroyed in this, you can't tackle anymore. And that was one of the most useful defensive maneuvers you had left.
Yeah, I was in that situation a bunch of times in the beta. It was very frustrating because, first of all, I just thought it wasn't working properly. And by the time I realized, like, that's just how the game is now, like, I thought, this is really shit because you pretty much have no options now. You either need to just die or eject when your legs are broken.
Yeah.
It's pretty trash.
Yeah, and with the in particular, when I was playing the Jim Striker, I think in the video that went up like Monday this week, I got my legs destroyed a lot. Which, since there are not actually enough equip slots to put leg reinforcement on the Jim Striker, could be a real problem going forward if they do not re-enable that tackle, because you are pretty much completely defenseless at that point without it.
Yeah. All right, Salty, you were going to say something?
I love the damage numbers. It's just like the Monster Hunter thing. It makes you feel like, you know, you're actually doing something. What I don't like is that now you can't tell if you're damaging the suit if there's not a pilot inside of it. That's a big negative, and I hope they fix that. And the only other negative I can think about is that I feel machine guns shoot too slow. Like, it's just the mobile suit just slowly firing it semi-automatic with a, you know, pulling the trigger back each time. I feel like machine guns could shoot a lot more quicker.
Yeah,
I hope they buff that.
Yeah, that was the same issue occurred in the first Gundam Battle Operation. I felt like the rate of fire in machine guns was basically in slow motion. I'm sort of basing this on the rate of fire that I saw for the machine guns in 8th MS Team and then 0083. The machine guns probably should fire about twice as fast as they do now in order to be accurate to that animation. Let's see. So something that I noticed that was really different from the first game was that in the first game, if you wanted to like basically stun lock a mobile suit, you couldn't just like fire all of your like stunning attacks on him like at first opportunity. You actually had to wait for the first stun to end and then hit him right after that. But in this game, it seems like the stun state seems to stack. Like I could like hit a guy with a bazooka, run in and do all of my melee swings, roll away, and then hit him with my bazooka again. I could basically, if you're outnumbered and you get stunned, you're basically dead. So that was very strange to find in the beta. Technically, it's more realistic because that's what should happen if a mobile suit gets hit and it's outnumbered. but it also makes the game kind of unfun if you just kind of get stuck in that and you die horribly, you know? So either they need to go back to the previous system where there's sort of a state where you can't get stunned after being stunned first, or if they're going to go forward with this new system, which I'm okay with because it's realistic, but if they're going to go forward with it, they need to allow you to cancel out of stuns by doing a dodge roll or by using your tackle, because that would also be realistic. Like, you know, if your mobile suit gets knocked around, you should be able to use your thrusters to, you know, correct for your balance and stuff like that. And I did put that into my survey, so hopefully they do see that and consider making that change. Okay, so let me ask you guys now, are there any hopes for like different mobile suits you want to see in the roster for the new game?
I honestly would not mind seeing more prototypes, like the prototype Dom or the prototype. It didn't really have a name. It was just called the MS-8. It didn't really have a name. It was the MS-8 high mobility type. I wouldn't mind seeing that, or more variations on the Federation side for like ace suits. Not ace suits, but commander types. Like the pre-production Jim had the double beam saber backpack and toted the Gundam beam rifle. I would love to see that in the game, where, you know, more pre-production type suits with the higher stats and stuff like that.
Okay. Rob, did you have anything you would like to see in the new game?
I'd really like to see some more things from around Zeta Gundam. There's a lot of designs in there I really like, and I would like to see, you know, how they handle in this. I mean,
are you referring to the Garibaldi beta?
I would like to see the Garibaldi beta, the Gundam Mark II, and I would like to see how they would make the Zeta Gundam work. I got the feeling if that could transform, that would end up being, maybe the transforming part at least might end up being a space-only thing, just for the amount of, you know, ground you would be able to cover with it. But, you know, I kind of suspect we're going to end up with transforming mobile suits in this eventually, just because...
Yeah, there were already transforming mobile suits in the first game. Like, we had transforming tank types.
Yeah. And considering we now have some controls for vertical movement, it does. I think it would be a little bit easier to get some of the flyers going in this. So I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I personally have a lot of concerns about transforming mobile suits because across all the Gundam games I've played, transforming mobile suits have always had very awkward and horrible controls. And then the main problem with them is that they use the same targeting system as when they're in mobile suit mode. And so, you know, when you're moving that fast, you actually need very fast firing weapons, or weapons that have very high round velocity. And typically in Gundam games, they just copy paste the same mobile suit controls, so it doesn't work properly. So hopefully the developers are cognizant of that if they're going to include a very fast transforming type mobile suits.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll get the animation for the transformation. I think it's going to be a quick blackout and then come back in screen, like when you get on the weapon platform in space.
Maybe the land battle gun tank. It actually had a very quick animation sequence, although it was just, you know, kind of shifting up and down with its torso. So I think they might be able to handle it.
I wouldn't really call that a transformation. I would just say it's more going prone. Now, if they added the animation for the Hildolfer, that would have been a transformation.
Right. Wait, Rob, were there any transforming mobile suits in the Missing Link game?
If so, I have not gotten them yet. I'm still kind of going through that. Oh wait, there was the Zeta 2, and I'm pretty sure that you can transform that, at least in the space mission I played with it.
Yeah, so that game basically used the same mobile suit models as the Battle Operation games. So I guess they already have the machinery for handling transformation, if that's true. Okay, so that's interesting. Salty, I don't know if this is you or not, but it sounds like you're sort of fiddling with your mic, and there's a lot of noise coming through because of that. So just try to keep still for us, okay? Okay, so in terms of mobile suits for me, well, this is not like a mobile suit thing, but I definitely wanted to see more mobile suits dual-wield weapons, because I guess I'm just sort of an edgelord like that way. I just love dual-wielding stuff. It's so fucking awesome. And we actually, well, in the first game, there were some double machine guns but it was pretty much exclusively for Xeon mobile suits because the devs have a horrible Xeon bias for some reason. So there were some tanks that could do machine guns and stuff like that. Yeah. But now we have the G3 Gundam and it's dual wielding bazookas, which is something I've been asking for forever. So it's really cool that they could add that in. So we're seeing more of that. I definitely want some Federation mobile suits that are dual wielding weapons. Like I believe the White Dingo mass production gun cannon is supposed to have double 100 millimeters. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so just maybe something that could dual wield different machine guns, maybe dual wield beam rifles and stuff. That might be pretty awesome. And maybe even mix wield things, because we know mobile suits can do that.
I would love that.
Yeah, like that one episode of 0083 when Ko was dual wielding. He had like his beam rifle and then the bullpup machine gun. And like, you know, you're not going to be able to target two suits at once, but if you could, you know, have both weapons fire in the same place you're aiming, I think that would be pretty damn awesome as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Firing the machine gun as you're charging up the beam rifle.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess in terms of mobile suits, I suppose the roster was so expansive in the first game, I don't really have too much I would want to ask for in that time range. But if we're going to cover new eras, then I guess I've always really liked the Gan Kai. I don't really know what the time frame for that thing is. I think it was I think the Arjarja is based on it, but that's either Zeta or Double Zeta. I'm not sure. So the Gan Kai...
I'm pretty sure that's Double Zeta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Gan Kai has this giant beam sword, like Epion style. And that would be so fucking awesome. And I guess in terms of Zeta and Double Zeta era, I guess I really like the Gaplant because I use that mobile suit a lot in Gundam versus Zeta Gundam. And like again, this is also a dual wielding mobile suit because it has, you know, beam guns on either arm, and it dual wielded beam sabers like in that game. And you know, when I was using Gaplant, it was all like spin to win and that type of stuff. It was ridiculously cool in that game. And I guess
Give me the Stark Jagan.
Right, I would really love Jagans if they're gonna go across to. I think Jagans were in 93, like New Gundam era.
Yeah. Yeah, Shark's counterattack on forward.
Yeah, I think it's weird that they use Jagans all the way into Victory, but I guess mobile suit development kind of will lag sometimes if there's no conflict going on. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Jagans would be nice. They're probably gonna be like crazy high mobility and no armor. God, there's something else. Oh yeah, I have no idea if they would go for this, but I would fucking love it if they had the XS Gundam in the game.
Ah, yeah.
The what Gundam?
The Extraordinary Superior Gundam.
Is that one with the AI Alice?
Yes.
Huh, that one. Alright.
Yeah, so the XS would be gigantic, and it would probably cost something like 6,000 points or something. But it would be fucking amazing. It's even a transformable mobile suit, technically. But I think having something like that in the game would be insanely fun, like even if it's unbalanced. But yeah, I've always liked that mobile suit a lot. I think it might be like Hajime Katoki's like flagship mobile suit. It's like my favorite design of that he's done, and that mobile suit's loadout is just insane. It's just really like it just seems like such a fun mobile suit, you know. And I think the only game it's ever been in is one version of one of the Gundam Versus games, but I tend to not really like the Gundam Versus games, so that's a little unfortunate.
It is also in Gundam Breaker.
Oh, it is, yeah.
It was on the PSP game. I remember that. Me and Moko were playing it together, and the first matchup he did was versus me, and he pulled that crap out on me. And it was like one shot, and I was dead every time. I'm like, well, I quit.
Yeah, like that Gundam has some serious firepower, and it's not even the most firepower that exists in its storyline either. So hopefully we don't have any deep strikers rolling around or anything like that. Like one concern I had about the roster was that if they're gonna go into Zeta and Double Zeta, that means that you have some potential for Kubeles in there. So funnel weapons in battle operation, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think they would act like the Gundam vs. Zeta Gundam series.
Yeah, probably. I think it would take some fairly careful balancing to make those work. I think they'd probably have to do relatively low damage since they are, you know, they're not a guaranteed hit, but they're going to be as close as you get in this game. Yeah.
Like, I suppose there's a few different ways they could have the funnels work. Like, if they could just kind of float and act as remote guns, and they just fire where you're aiming. Or maybe if they
that'd be cool.
Yeah. I think that's my favorite way that funnels have worked in previous games. Alternatively, you could have them sort of track a target, although Battle Operation has no targeting system at all, so that probably wouldn't work properly. Maybe just have them go forward and concentrate their fire on one spot. But hopefully if they include funnels, it'll do the turret thing, because I think that would mesh the best with the current targeting system in this game, which is all manual aiming.
Now that you mention it, we didn't talk about the new support system where you can go to a checkpoint and order an airstrike or support fire from your ship, and actually, you know, just having the funnels work as a basically personal mini like airstrike system, that might be something that could work.
Yeah, I think you're right. I actually never used the airstrike system in the beta. I did get killed by it a lot, though. So I hear that they actually rebalanced it for the second day. They reduced the area of wait. They increased the cooldown or the ready time for it, and they reduced the damage. So I think that was a good idea. Although it makes sense to include artillery systems like that, because, you know, this is warfare, so artillery is actually the main way people fight on a battlefield. It's very strange to go hand to hand, quote unquote, or close range like mobile suits. So, although I suppose according to the lore, like having artillery strikes might be difficult because of Minovsky interference. So it's kind of a toss up, but it makes sense to include that in the game. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think that might be all the topics I wanted to bring up. So I think if you guys don't have anything else, we can go into questions from all of our various user groups.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So first, I think we'll go through the Facebook groups, and we'll end up with game facts last. Okay. So I'm gonna try not to dox you guys here. Okay, so Ramiro asks, do you think we'll have mic support or none like GBO Next? Oh yeah, that is one thing I didn't mention. So between Gundam Battle Operation 1 and 2, the development team actually made this abortion of a game called Gundam Battle Operation Next. And it's actually it is also a free-to-play game, but it covers all the alternate timelines and alternate universes and stuff. So you basically have everything in that game, but I never played it because it just looked like trash. and also it had a targeting system, so it just didn't feel like battle operation at all. But I think between all of us, Rob might have been the only one that actually actively played Next for any amount of time. Salty, did you ever play Next?
I hopped on just to help Heavy for a couple hours. I'm like, holy crap, Heavy, how do you play this game? I'm gone.
I played it for maybe a month, then a few other times on and off. It basically plays like Gundam Versus, a free-to-play version of Gundam Versus, which is not the best thing. Because, Gundam Versus is very carefully tuned and, involves a lot of precision, and that's kind of the part they left out of Next.
Yeah, I actually had to fight very hard to not play Next because it actually included a lot of Gundam Wing mobile suits that I would have loved to use, like the Leo and stuff like that, which is one of my favorite Grunt mobile suits. But yeah, Next is pretty trash. Like the hit detection just looked horrible, and I just didn't want to subject myself to that sort of frustration, so I wouldn't know. So, from Ramiro is saying, Next did not have mic support. I suppose we'll just have to take his word for it. So I'm not really all too sure if Gundam Battle Operation 2 has mic support or not. It's hard to tell because the beta didn't really have all the user features that the full game would have. And you'll have to take this with a grain of salt, but I could swear that I don't have a screenshot of this, but when I was in the lobby waiting for a match, if you hold the L2 button, it brings up all the pre-written prompts that you could send out to your team. And I think there was some icon at the top that said, it was something like, it looked like a person with a red line crossing it out, sort of saying like, I don't have chat set up or something like that. But I can't really confirm if this proves or denies, having chat support for the new game. But I guess we'll have to see when the full game comes out.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. Daryl is asking. Wow, I really need glasses. Okay, let's see if I can make this out if I squint hard enough. Okay, since there's no chance, quote unquote, that they'll let people record without using video capture card, I wonder if you can customize your pilot aesthetics in both space and for Earth, and for Earth battles. And I do hope you can go without your helmet on Earth battles. Yeah, that is something I completely forgot to talk about, which was the new hub that they have for Gundam Battle Operation 2. So in the first game, everything was just done by menus, which was very, honestly, it was a low budget thing, but it made everything very efficient. But I suppose the new game, they're trying to make things feel more video gamey. So there's now a hub where I guess you talk to, I don't even know what this character is supposed to be like, but she's sort of like an idol mascot type character. So she's there on the map. There's this lady who's dressed like a hooker, and she controls the shop. Like seriously, guys, like that looks like a bad case of gonorrhea right there. But so she controls the shop, and then there's another lady. A glasses lady who actually you talk to sortie. I'll say my impression of the hub town is that it looks disgusting and horrible, and they shouldn't have wasted time and resources developing it. I would have been happier had they just kept with menus. So hopefully when the full game comes out, they'll have that all better. And then something that's strange about that is that when you go to the one lady to, start your matches, you have every player in the lobby just crowded around this one lady. It looks really stupid. So that's really strange. Oh yeah, and then also the character models for your player, for your pilot, they look really gross, and I was I guess all the character models are quite offensive to look at least for the player models. So that was very unfortunate. Yeah, what did you guys think of the hub area?
I would like to see more customizing options for the pilots in the final version, because there were, like you said, there were not a lot of options, and it was hard to get anything that looked very good. In terms of the hub area in general, I thought it was okay. I really don't think I'm going to get a very good feel for it until all the options are available. So because I know there's going to be more than just like 3 places you can go in this when they're finished. I'm sure there will. Because otherwise, it's just kind of, the whole thing's kind of pointless to just have like 2 different menu options, or 3 different menu options, only 2 of which actually do something. There's got to be more to that area to justify it, I think.
Well, I kind of like the hub. I did like it, and I don't like it because it's I like how warish it feels, like how dirty and grungy it looks. You know what I'm saying? Just like it's seen some things through the war.
Right. Yeah, I do agree with that.
But I don't feel like it's necessary to have a hub world in a game that's free to play.
Yeah.
And that's really all I have to say about it. I mean, just like,
yeah.
Except for the one character who looks like a slut. I don't understand that.
I think it's just because the developers are very lonely people. So that's the only way I can explain that shit. Although
it is a very otaku move. That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah, like they're all like dating sim stereotypes. Yeah, although I will have to be honest and say that if I was developing a game on a shoestring budget, things are going to get really skanky up in there. So that's just me. Although I will say there was one thing about the hub world that I liked, and that was the ball that was docked right in the middle of it. So it was actually really cool to see like a ball to scale, like when you're outside of a mobile suit, and they're actually a lot bigger than my mind has them. So that was
no cool.
Yeah, otherwise, it wasn't really worth exploring the map. I guess exploring the map just made me feel more offended by how bad it looked, because they actually repeated a lot of character models, like just everywhere. So hopefully that receives either a lot of work before the full game comes out, or it gets chopped. Although if it gets chopped, it's gonna look very bad, kind of impression-wise. So I suppose their only option is to fix it,
or just leave it like it is, which is probably what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so on to Daryl's actual question. Yeah, I think it would be cool if, I guess in atmospheric maps, that your pilot could go without their helmet. Although, from what was available, like the character models were so ugly, I think it would be better if she kept her helmet on. That's just me. But I think the game is definitely setting up to have a lot of customizable options for your pilot, because if you looked behind the hooker lady, there were racks of pilot gear and equipment. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna expand the shop to have customizable options for your pilot. You know, get a different normal suit, or like upgrade your machine gun or your bazooka maybe. So that might be a thing. But there's no way to tell for right now. But I guess if the character models looked pretty, I wouldn't mind like all that type of stuff. But as for right now, I could do without it. Yeah, like what do you guys think?
Now that you mention it, I'm thinking that we're probably going to have to endure cosmetic upgrades in those loot boxes too, getting in the way of the mobile suits we actually want.
Oh God, like the same way there were emblems coming in, like for our drops and stuff. I was like, oh, I just got a 3-star emblem instead of the event mobile suit. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm really hoping for outfit wise is that leather jacket you've seen in the first trailer, because I want my pilot to have that because that looks sexy.
Yeah, I don't mind the idea of customizing items. Like I said, I think they're going to be in the loot boxes, which is going to be a thing. But I don't mind the idea of being able to customize my pilot, and could be interesting.
Okay. All right, let's go find another question. Okay, here's in a different thread. Vincent asks, any idea on when is the actual release? So, Rob, do you know, they just announced that they were going to drop support for GBO Next. Do you know when that date was?
Well, they're going to drop support for the PS3 version of GBO Next.
Oh, just the one version?
Yeah, just the PS3 version. As far as I know, the PS4 version is going on at least for a while. The only real insight I have into when this might happen, when the final version might come out, is that both the previous Gundam Battle Operations, to my knowledge, beta tested in April and released in June. So just based on that, if I was going to make a guess, I would probably say June 22nd, the same day as New Gundam Breaker.
Wow, they're really going to release on the same day as Gundam Breaker?
That's just my guess. Considering there's a trailer for New Gundam Breaker like right in the hub area.
Yeah.
I kind of think it's a possibility. Not a foregone conclusion, but I think it's a possibility.
Yeah. It sounds like you're opening packaging tape or something like that. It's causing some noise on the stream. Anyway, but yeah, I saw the same thing, Rob. So I don't know. I guess the devs they're kind of cheeky. They like to advertise for the other games and stuff like that. But yeah, so I agree that traditionally they like to release their games at the end of June. Although if that actually dovetails with the release of Gundam Breaker, I think that might be a bad idea. But I don't know. I guess my bet is also for the end of June, but we can't really say until they announce.
Yeah,
I would laugh if we got an update within like a week or so after they go through the what did we have to sign up the other day? Fill out the other day, Monday. What was it?
Survey?
That survey?
Yeah, it would be fun if we got it like in a week or two, the full game. I would laugh.
Yeah, like they did absolutely nothing and just released it as it was.
Oh, your opinions? Yeah, that's in the trash. Don't worry about it. Here's the full game.
Oh. Yeah, and then, like, if they actually released it at the same time as New Gundam Breaker, that would be very challenging for folks who cover Gundam games, like, on their channels, because, I don't know, 2 games at once, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very high time commitment, so that could be challenging.
Yeah, that breaks down basically to probably one for during the week and one for the weekend, I think, is how I would have to handle that.
Okay, let's look at the next question. Gary is asking, what's your guys' favorite mobile suit in the beta?
I would say mine wound up being the Zuda, just because it's It's fragile, yes, but it's relatively fast, and with that anti-ship rifle, it actually probably makes as good a support unit as any of the support-type mobile suits. Possibly even a little bit better in space, because the anti-ship rifle has a slightly better range than the gun cannon's deep sniper rifle.
Okay.
I'd say mine was the Gundam ground type. The versatility in that suit was is crazy in the beta, especially now with it having a double beam saber swing.
Yeah, like that suit is like crazy versatile. Like in the beta, for me it's kind of hard to say because I just used a bit of everything. I had a lot of really good matches in the Gym Striker. I actually have a really super amazing match I haven't posted yet, but I'll probably do that soon. And weirdly enough, I got a lot of enjoyment out of the Gym Sniper 2, although it's pretty much exactly the same as it was in the first Gundam Battle Operation. The only difference is that I noticed is that grenades don't explode on impact now; they actually bounce once. So that is a difference. Yeah, so I don't know. I was just kind of fiddling around with everything like in the beta. Okay, let's look at the next question. Okay, here's our friend Alex. He says he has so many questions he could ask us about the beta since he didn't get to play. He says the main question is, how does it feel to be back behind a mecha?
It is really nice to have something back that feels as much like Gundam Battle Operation 1 as this does. I was, after at the end of July, before they announced the sequel, I was fully expecting to never play that type of game again. Even when the sequel was announced, I was expecting it to be more radically different from the original than this is. So this is really very comfortable, and I'm really happy about that.
Right.
If I was any less of a man, I probably would have cried. But I tell you right now, I am going through withdrawals not playing the game again. Like how when the first one ended.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a few people on the Facebook group did cry. Like, they openly admitted they did cry. So, now, don't worry, Salty. There's nothing wrong with a man crying. Just, although, if he does cry out in the open, he'll be abandoned by society. So, don't do that. So my impression is that I actually, despite the shoestring budget and the absolute incompetence of the development team, I actually have a lot of praise for their work because I don't know, I think Battle Operation 1 it was the absolute best game engine to exist for Gundam. It is the absolute best Gundam game. It was just, just that the game was stuck in this free-to-play model, which made it challenging. And then also, the game's pretty much in Japanese. Like, the audience is very low for it, but the game engine is excellent. So I'm very happy to see that it's living on in this new game. So hopefully this game has a long life as well. Although I will say I felt a bit strange that it was pretty much the same game. I was hoping that there would be some newness or freshness to it, but I didn't really get that. But like when I was playing the beta, although like I will have to admit that when I was playing the first game, it I think there were times where it literally made me suicidal. Like I just wanted to die. It was a very frustrating game to play. But I guess frustration just comes out of wanting to do well. But I think with the energy system abolished, I think that should improve the experience for the new game a lot. So I can just play at any time of day that I want. I don't have to time my schedule so I can grind for event mobile suits and stuff like that. And then, yeah, everybody's going to be less anal about starting matches and stuff. Like, oh, why are you using a level 5 GAN? You can use a level 6 one instead. Or you haven't finished your anger upgrades and all that type of shit. And just, and it taking like 3 hours to start a rank 13 match and that type of shit. So I have a lot of hope for the new game. So hopefully it'll be good. I'm not confident that I'll be able to have the same time commitment as I did the previous game, because I guess I'm an old man with responsibilities and shit now. But I actually make more money now, so I might actually be able to throw some money at the developers, because I basically played the entire first game without spending money for like 5 years. So I think now that I have the income to support them, I might, be able to use a bit of that. So yeah, that's how it feels to be back in the game for me.
I still have about 700 yen left from what you gifted me back when the first game was closing, and I'm pretty sure I know where that's going once 2 is up and around.
Yeah, I have a little bit left over also, and I think my intention will be I will drop $60 worth of yen on the game at launch, just to, like, symbolically, I'm buying your game, like, as a full price game. So I will at least do that for the devs this time around. Okay, did Alex ask anything else? Yeah, so he's getting all sentimental about the team getting back together and all that type of shit. But yeah, like, it would be really cool to work together with the rest of the team. Hopefully we do more battles where it's all of our friends working together against randoms instead of our friends fighting each other, because that could really turn to shit sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. That's when generally the discussions about game balance started, and it's like there's not a lot that any of us can do about that. We can come up with custom rule sets that everybody's happy with, but that's about as far as we can take it in terms of changing the nature of the game.
Yeah, I can't wait for us to do a melee-only battle on a space map.
That should be interesting. Also, yeah, I was... The one thing I regretted about not having matchmaking in the demo is that I did not get my gun cannon boxing match. I want to try that.
Yeah, I only got to use melee once in my gun cannon, and I got countered, so that pissed me off. Fuck that. I got countered in space. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Although, I did, I follow this, other YouTuber, named Knifer. He's a Japanese player. Probably one of the best I've ever seen. He was using a gun cannon in one of the videos, and the down attack for the gun cannon's melee is like the stomp kick, like just right in the chest. it looks it's really fun to land that. So I'm really looking forward to that shit. But yeah, so I guess once we can get the gang rounded up, we'll just start launching gun cannons and stomping each other.
Punching each other in the face.
Oh yeah, yeah, that'll be a grand old time. Okay, let's see. More questions. Here's Guang, acting like a fag. I love you, Guang. Yeah, Guang is such a cool guy. He's basically one of the most skilled Western players, and he's just so chill and so friendly. Almost nothing could break his cool. He's in my eyes, he's like a hero, of our generation. Let's see. Let's see. Is this another question? No, just people talking shit. But this guy is happy there's no more energy system. Okay, let's head over to Game Facts and look at the questions we have here. Okay, this guy with a really long name. Gundam 00GN002. I suppose that's a 00 mobile suit registration number, but I don't know which one it is. He's asking, he has a question: are we able to get level 6 mobile suits without paying with real money? Hopefully we can buy with DP or development points. So,
now that is a question that the beta did not answer, because the highest level mobile suit I saw was 3.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Oh, go ahead, Salty.
I said likewise. I don't. And plus, didn't they say their way of making money was the loot system? I don't think it revolves around the mobile suits anymore.
Yeah, I'm not confident if there will be a paywall. That was the phrase we used in the first game. There's really no indication of that yet. Although, for the first game, we didn't know there would be a paywall. Did we know at launch, or was that just figured out like as we got further into the game?
I'm pretty sure that the like terms of things were pretty well known at launch. That level like 4 mobile suits and level 5 mobile suits and level 4 equipment was all locked behind the real money barrier there.
Right. So first off, like we don't really know what level progression there will be like in the game. Like we don't even know if it will go beyond 3. In GBO1 it went as high as level 8 for mobile suits and I guess maybe some weapons and parts. So in the first game the paywall occurred at level 5 mobile suits, like Rob said. But in this game I suppose there's no evidence that there will be a paywall yet. So hopefully there is not one. Because if they're moving over to the loot box model, they wouldn't really need a paywall. So hopefully that does not come back in GBO2.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so here PK Man actually answers the other guy's question. Which, thank you for doing that. Okay, and then the other guy responds, "Oh," although I guess he doesn't understand this is a forum. You don't need to respond in that way. Okay, so here's another question from Konoha. So Konoha asks, like, if you guys could explain how the gacha machine system works and how it differs from GBO1's random drop system, that would be cool. He didn't get to play the beta. Maybe also go into the improvements and the new and any new flaws from GBO1. Okay, so I think we actually discussed this earlier in the podcast. So in the first game there was a blueprint system that basically at the end of every match you would drop a certain number of blueprints, and each one had a random chance to develop a mobile suit or a weapon or a part or the horrible bronze chips, which would be converted into in-game currency and stuff like that. So, I guess the developers are still fond of RNG, so there's no blueprint system anymore. There's still in-game currency, and you just buy mobile suits in the store. Everything is locked by your in-game rank, which you rank up with experience as you play matches. So that's fairly similar to the first game, although you no longer have to develop things. Things are just done as soon as they're available. Yeah, and then the gacha system. Well, as far as I can tell, it works based on tokens. Like you can use the loot box when you get 3 tokens, or 10, or wait, no, it was 30. Yeah, so there's no gain for doing like more or less. It's basically the same amount. But yeah, you can earn tokens as you play matches and meet certain requirements, like defeat so many mobile suits or score this many amount of points and crap like that. So even the non-paying players will be able to earn tokens. But I suppose that you're gonna be able to exchange in-game or real life currency for tokens. And that's how the developers will make their money. Does that sound about accurate, guys?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. The one detail worth mentioning, we probably mentioned it earlier, but just to be sure, is that the loot box system, the gacha system, as far as we can tell, you can drop any item in the game through it, regardless of your level limitation, or even if you have the lower level mobile suit yet. I got that level 3 Dom, regardless, even though I did not have the level 1 or 2, it was usable immediately. The people who got the Gym 3 and G3 Gundam before they were ranked up for it were able to use it right away. It's just a matter of, if you want to buy those things with development points, you have to have a certain rank before it will let you do that.
Yeah, like, that was actually something that mildly bothered me. Like, I unlocked that level 3 Ground Gundam, but the levels 1 and 2 were still unpurchased in the shop, so I felt it was sort of a waste that if I wanted to try to get the level 4 Ground Gundam, theoretically, I would have to purchase the levels 1 and 2. So there's that going on. But yeah, that's I think that about covers the question. Okay, so next we have Aaron. He asks, well, he's asking, would you take a United Kingdom player like into the podcast? Unfortunately, the podcast was sort of arranged like really quickly, like off the cuff, so there wasn't much time to arrange things. But yeah, I tend to keep my conversations very minimal with fewer people. That way, there's more organization and less complex stuff going on. But yeah, I think we know Aaron on the Facebook group as well. But yeah, if we do a future episode, we can maybe we can invite him on so we can talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. This is the last question. So PK Man says he has a question. As you're aware, in GBO, the game had trouble attracting and retaining new players in its latter years due to the fact that the majority of the player base are already in the highest rank. There was zero incentive for players with a big rank difference to play together because of the discrepancy in available mobile suits and items. That made it unfun and unfair for both sides. He says the introduction of situation battles did help somewhat, but the random nature of the mode means a lack of player choice. If you are unlucky, you can be stuck in a regular Zaku 2 with a machine gun multiple times. That actually happened to me on several of the Friday nights we played together. Yeah, just Zaku with a machine gun, 6 matches in a row. Multiple times. Okay, not very appealing to new players, I bet. Okay, what do you think the devs should do in GBO2 to maintain a thriving player base, ensuring the longevity and accessibility of the game?
Well,
So,
I think
yeah.
I think the gacha system is a big part of what they're trying to do about that, because players who get the higher level mobile suits through that can use them right away. And I think that's a big way of trying to address the accessibility and the fact that it used to take a lot of time and a lot of grinding to get high quality mobile suits for new players. And I think also another part of that is the new rating matches, because the game seems to try and match people with the same ratings. So the dedicated players can go into those and get their rating up, so they're only playing with more experienced people. And the new folks will hopefully have people who will not steamroll them too badly.
Okay, Salty, any thoughts?
Actually, Rob kind of hit it right on the head with it. That's what I was going to say. I feel like people who are brand new to the game that didn't start out when the game, came out, are probably going to have like, hey, here's some free tokens. Go and do a couple of drops, to help these new players get some better stuff right off the bat. I think that's what they're going to try to do.
Okay. Okay, so before I actually answer this question, I want to address PK Man directly. So, I want to ask, what is such an intelligent and articulate person doing playing such a shitty video game? Yeah, so I'll just have to take a moment to actually give props to PK Man. So he's a regular on the GameFAQs board, especially on the previous game. And he actually does a lot of translation work. He's a very skilled player, and actually a lot of the understanding that I got from new mobile suits comes from his opinion on the board. So I just wanted to take some time and give him credit for all the stuff that he does for the community. He's actually doing a lot of translations for menus right now. So I guess if you guys want, just swing by the GameFAQs board for GBO2, and there are a few threads for translations already, and he's posted a few translations, and like I do have some screen caps that I took that I should probably send over to him soon. So there's that. Okay, in regards to your question, PK Man, well, it's kind of challenging. Like you said, the situation battles were a decent solution in the first game, although I think the developers kind of handled them weirdly. Sort of like the way they were set up in the previous game was that they were trying to recreate moments in actual Gundam shows and books and stuff like that, which was fine enough, but those situation battles ended up being not fun at all, because a lot of the suits there were just, plain old Zaku's and Jims and shit like that, and that was pretty horrific. On the other hand, there were other situation battles that were designed to be interesting and fun, like all the situation battles that had all melee mobile suits, or situation battles that had the entire Gundam lineage and stuff like that. So those situation battles with high tier, high class, fast moving, high firepower mobile suits, those situation battles were fantastic. They were amazingly fun. And I think if the devs were to focus on situation battles like that, it would work a lot better. Although, the fact that they didn't kind of just goes to show that I don't think the devs really play their own game. The way they do balance and the way they do updates, it's sort of obvious that they either don't playtest their own game, or they're bad at playing their own game. And I guess this is already very obvious from what the community has seen of them doing demos of the game. And there have been rare occasions where the developers will get onto the game and play with the player base. And they were described as, the developers were described as being very potato at the game. So, yeah,
well, with the exception of Toku-kun, he seemed to be he was top tier.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was going on. So, yeah, I think if they handled situation battle in the manner I described, I think that would be a very healthy way to get everyone to play together. They could bring back assault mode just to reduce the frustration of things. So, in battle operation, what happens is if your mobile suit is destroyed, it has a respawn timer based on its cost until when you can redeploy. And so what assault mode did was it always set your respawn time to, I think, 3 seconds every time. So you can basically respawn right away whenever you got shot down, and that made for a very fast-paced and fun match. So if they could bring that mode back, I think that would be very advantageous. What else could they do?
I did find that respawn times did seem to be reduced compared to the original in this, though.
Yeah,
just
it did
since
seem
we're mentioning
shorter,
it.
but we don't know how they're going to balance it in the full game, because this is the beta. They might have shortened it because they want people to play more during the beta, or maybe these are actually very low to mid-tier, mobile suits, so they would just naturally have low respawn time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind a capture the flag / king of the hill type mode added in where it gets rid of your backpack and you still got the instant respawn mode. I think that would be a nice / cool addition into it.
Yeah, outside of that, I think the the only way to improve the longevity of the game is if, kind of building on the previous point, like if the developers just had somebody who was good at the game or invested in the game actually consulting their work. I think that would make the game like just a lot better in different ways. And then also, if the developers were to balance the game and design like all the mobile suits and weapons to be like, instead of, you know, having it be accurate, quote unquote, or balanced, quote unquote, just kind of adjust the game to be fun, like prioritize fun. Kind of like with the beam spray gun. Yeah, it's like the beam spray gun is like an early access beam weapon, which is really rare for low tier mobile suits, but it's horrific to use. Nobody likes using beam spray guns because it's just boring and you can't kill anything with them. But, you know, look at the way the beam spray gun works in the Missing Link game. It is fucking badass. I would actually prefer to use that over, you know, like over a beam rifle or a cannon or something like that, because it looks fun. It looks fun to use.
Or even in Gundam Senki, where it's more of a shotgun.
Right.
That's my favorite version of the beam spray gun, is the shotgun spray effect.
Yeah, so if they were to just focus on making things fun and enjoyable instead of accurate and balanced, quote unquote. I mean, you can have things fun and balanced. Like, I think that would be very healthy for the game, because, you know, that's what video games are for. They're for engagement and being fun, like that type of stuff. Okay, any other thoughts on PK Man's question?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay, I think there was a thing I forgot to bring up, but I can't remember what it was anymore. It was fairly important, but I guess plenty of important things are forgotten, so we'll just leave it be. Jeez, it's really hurting my soul that I can't remember this. God damn it. Anyway, guys, I think that covers all the topics we wanted to go over. Was there anything else you guys wanted to say, or anything else you feel you want to add?
Only that I'm really happy to have Gundam Battle Operation back. I'm looking forward to the full game, and just the fact that we have, you know, gotten past the the end of the 1 year war and the basically the era of Gundam that was shown on Toonami. That really just kind of excites me, because there are so many possibilities for what they could add to this game. This could now easily run more than 5 years without even blinking. There's so many new mobile suit options and new equipment types and things that they could add to this.
Yeah, weirdly enough, the survey that we took after the beta, it actually asked about which timelines and alternate universes we would like to see included. So I kind of want the game to be clean and just be, you know, Universal Century, but they might even mix in other stuff. So that, like, because it said it in the survey, but I don't know. There's no telling.
For me, Google Translate translated that line as "which Gundam series do you like?" So not would you like? So I'm really kind of hoping that my translation was the accurate one there, because I would like to stick to Universal Century stuff for this.
Oh yeah, okay. Salty, did you have any closing thoughts?
The only closing thing I can think of was I hope they add a battle scarred paint option for our suits. That's about it.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I can't wait to get the paint options open and start blinging out my mobile suits, because I fucking love gold. Okay. Let's see. Closing thoughts for me. Well, I'm actually very happy with the beta. Everything looks great. Well, I guess there's lots of problems too, but you know, there's no perfect thing out there. So, except
for gold for you.
Yeah, there. this is sort of a weird thing to express, but I'm actually sort of terrified of the new game because I just know the first game just consumed like so much of my life, and then also the game could be very frustrating because it's like a player versus player game, and it's a team-based like squad thing. So like you could be fighting like a incredibly badass enemy team and just get floored for 8 minutes straight. Like normally Normally you'd have to pay a lot of money to get pounded that hard, you know what I mean? And then also, come on, nobody laughed, what's going on? And then,
I snorted, it probably just didn't come over the microphone.
Right. And then also, like, if you end up on a poorly coordinated team, that could be very detrimental also, so that can also be very frustrating. So it just feels bad when there's a bad situation you're in, and there's nothing you can do to turn things around. So
yeah,
hopefully there can be some ways to address that in the new game. But like it's an online game and you can't pause it, and sometimes you just kind of have to take it on the chin. Yeah, I'm trying to just. Sometimes I just have to kind of laugh at how hard I'm getting comboed and stuff like that. But whatever. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah,
sometimes the best teacher you can have is a strong opponent. So that's something I always try to keep in mind. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I already had a round in the beta that reminded me of some of the worst rounds I had in the original. I don't know if I posted it yet or not, but I had a round in the gun cannon in space where our entire team scored 100 points, and that was the 2 checkpoints I captured.
Oh, shit.
So that is, that is right up there with some of the worst rounds I ever played of the original. But the fact that it's not one of the 3 rounds I can play that day, and the fact that it's not impeding my progress towards another 16% of this rare mobile suit really did kind of take the edge off that frustration. And I'm really hoping that going forward, that not having those restrictions is going to make this the annoying parts of this a lot less annoying.
Yeah, without the energy system, you can just play again and have a chance at redemption. That just makes the experience so much better. I will openly admit that I am not posting 100% of my beta footage because I did have some pretty bad matches like in there, and that's just the nature of online games. All your opponents are other actual human beings, and those motherfuckers fight dirty sometimes, and sometimes you're the one fighting dirty, like the Jim Striker match I'm about to post. But yeah, you give, there's give and take. And yeah, I'll be the first one to admit that I'm a very mediocre player when it comes to this game. I mean, there's already a shitload of people like downvoting my gameplay videos. Like, it's fine. Like, it's fine if you're honest, but if you dislike my video, just I would appreciate some feedback. Like, what did you dislike about the video, so I can try to make things better in the future.
I have to say the worst match I've ever had in GBO was the one that Zero posted a couple months back, where my team just, oh my god, your team was nothing but supports, and we just got demolished.
Was that the one called Shooting Friends in a Barrel?
Yeah, I put my controller down at the end there. I just said, fuck it, I'm done.
Yeah. I was expecting our team to just get demolished because, that's what happens when you pick all support, but I don't know, that round was fucked up, so I'm sorry that happened. But yeah, that
was my last match for that night.
Yeah,
those are always the worst ones to end on. I hated that.
Yeah.
No, I still had energy. That was my first match of the night, because it was my first match of the night, and after that match, I'm like, well, the rest of my games for this night is going to be like that, I'm done playing. Sure enough, I rage quit.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, that's something I definitely want to avoid if we're going to get together with the old group on, Fridays or whatever day is most convenient for our present lives. Like, I want to try to avoid, like, having our friends fighting each other, because that can be seriously frustrating. So let's just focus on, Wait, would it be considered a hate crime if we have like a bunch of Westerners beating up on Japanese folks and stuff? Oh, wait, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, okay? Oh god. Okay, so I think that pretty much is all of our closing thoughts. If there's if I don't know, if there's more thoughts or something, we might do another video or discussion later on. So I guess before we close out, we should probably take a minute to just I guess to shill our channels or the type of work we do, and just to see like where we can find the panelists. So Rob, where can the listeners find you?
Okay, well, you can find me on YouTube at Flailthroughs. I tend to focus on Gundam-related gaming videos because that has been what most folks have wanted to see from me the most. I'm hoping to get New Gundam Breaker at the time of release to start doing videos for that. To that end, I have set up a Patreon at patreon.com/Flailthroughs to hopefully bankroll the game so that I can get it going on the channel as soon as possible.
Yeah, okay. Salty, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube at SaltyWalty, and honestly, that's about it.
Okay, Salty, what kind of content do you have on your channel? Yeah, I'm just going to put my Basil Geese Hunt recording on the background while you're talking. Go ahead.
I have a mixture of Monster Hunter, Crossouts, and Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain. I need to start posting more of that, honestly. It's a fun game.
Okay. Yeah, so, well, I suppose the listeners will already be listening to this on my channel. I'm sure Rob will have a copy of the podcast on his channel as well. Salty, did you want a copy of it?
You can save one, and you can email it to me later whenever I get my computer fixed.
Yeah, I'm not too convinced an email attachment limit will hold the file, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
and I'm
oh, go ahead, Rob.
And I may actually just leave this to your channel and direct people to it, just so as to not to divide up the attention and the traffic too much.
I don't care. I'm not making any money off this. In fact, I'm probably gonna lose subscribers over this bullshit. Like, if people just hate my Gundam videos, oh my god. That's fine. Yeah, well, I've been seraphiczero. I don't know, my channel name is still the old name. I suppose I should change it in the near future. But, yeah, we're gonna be covering Gundam Battle Operation 2 on the channel. We still do lots of Monster Hunter World videos. I still need to pick up my Bayonetta Let's Play. That's been sort of neglected, recently. And I guess if they're never gonna release a new Armored Core game, I could just go back and cover the old ones and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just this is a really stupid way to say this, but I'm one of those people that's kind of good at everything. So I draw and I write and all that type of shit, but I don't know. Anyway, so I guess in the video description I'll have links to Rob's and Salty's YouTube channel, so you guys can go check them out. And if you guys want to stick around for future content on my channel, just subscribe and we'll have all that types of crap. So, alright guys, so we're gonna stop the podcast here. Rob, Salty, and I are gonna stay on the call, but I wanna thank you for being here for the podcast and listening, and hopefully the new game will be fantastic, just like the first game, and we can all enjoy it together. So, I guess that's it. You guys have a good evening, and we'll see you next time.